Ribs are fantastic, and beef ribs, I gotta be honest, I think they're my favorite. So today I'm gonna be making smoked Santa Fe beef ribs with pepper Parmesan mashed potatoes. So beef ribs first. We're gonna get to the potatoes a little bit later. What I'm starting with here is a piece of boneless beef rib. Now this is a Wagyu cut. This was sent to me by Wagyu, which is a family-run ranch out in Texas. All their beef is pasture-raised, hormone-free. It's 21-day dry-aged. They've sent me a number of cuts in the past, and it's all been fantastic. If you've watched enough of my videos, you've seen them, and I sure do appreciate when they send me stuff like this. I did a larger cut of this not too long ago, and this is a shorter cut, sort of almost a short rib cut. The other one was basically about as big as a brisket. So this is gonna be perfect to cut into sections. Now I'm gonna put the link to Wagyu down in the video description, and if you wanna check them out, go there and check it out. And if you decide you wanna buy something, remember, use the coupon code CWR when you check out, because you'll get 20% off your order. So anyway, let's get on to these boneless beef ribs, and you can just see the beautiful marbling in these here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this into 4 sections. I'm gonna go straight across here, and each one of these, I'm gonna cut in half. Now we're gonna season these up. Now I called these smoked Santa Fe beef ribs. That's because I'm gonna be using a Santa Fe style seasoning. Santa Fe style seasonings have a lot of cumin, has coriander, other things in it. Now if you wanna make yours from scratch, that's fine, or if you wanna use a pre-made Santa Fe seasoning, no problem with that. I'm using a Santa Fe coffee rub today from Stephen Raichlen. Really good, it smells great, it tastes great, and I've used coffee rubs on beef before, even beef ribs, and it's fantastic. We're gonna go ahead and give these a good coating. Get every side. Now with pieces of rib this small, when you cut them into sections, you could put these in a bowl and just toss them around with rub. That would work too. I just prefer to do it this way. And some of these are not as thick as the others, and that's fine. They're all gonna cook roughly in about the same amount of time. We'll keep an eye on them though. Get this fatty side. Get this back over to the meaty side and make sure we got plenty of rub there. Give a really, really good coating of this. And again, I'm not using any binders. I prefer not to use binders. If the meat has enough moisture to help the rub hold to it, I don't find them necessary, but if you want to use a binder, go ahead. All right, these are looking good. Let's get these out to the pit barrel cooker. Going to place our ribs fat side down. Get our hanging rods in. They are part of the venting process. Let's get our lid on and get smoking. Now the pit barrel cooker generally runs somewhere in the 275 to 300 range. I don't have any temperature probes in there today. I just trust it runs like that. I'm burning some post oak for smoke today. That works really well with beef in my opinion. And we're just gonna let this go, and we're not gonna check it for 2 hours. All right, we've been going 2 hours. Let's give our boneless beef ribs a check. Oh, looking really nice. Let's get these hanging rods out of here and check these. Beautiful color here, beautiful, beautiful color. Now because these are cut into sections, they can actually cook a little quicker here. So I want to see what their tenderness factor is right now. Are we going to wrap them right now or let them go for a little bit more? Pretty tender, a little bit of resistance, but really tender. Let's see temperature there. Yeah, that one's showing 195. So these are moving along. This is 185. These are ready to be wrapped. So I'm going to get these off here and we're going to wrap them. And I'm going to do each of these individual. I'm not adding any additional moisture to these. There's plenty on the surface, a lot of fat in there. We're just gonna wrap them up and let them finish. Let's get them back on the PBC. Gonna get our lid on, let these go for another hour, and they're gonna be done. All right, while our ribs are finishing up on the pit barrel cooker, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make our pepper parmesan mashed potatoes. So what I'm using here are 4 russet potatoes that were peeled and boiled until they're soft enough to be made into mashed potatoes. Just get your potatoes ready any way you normally would for making mashed potatoes. If you want to use something other than russets, go ahead. I prefer russets for these. Before we add any of the other ingredients, I just want to start mashing these up a bit. I'm just going to use a regular old potato masher just to break them down. We're just making sure we got all the large chunks broken up first. If a few slip through, they'll get broken up as we go along here. To this, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of butter. Just want to distribute this a little bit so it can start melting. Now I'm going to start with a little bit less than half a cup of half and half. I have half a cup set aside. I'm not going to use it all at the beginning. We can always add more. That's maybe a 1/4 cup to start. And I'm just going to start mashing these again now. Get that half and half and the butter incorporated. If you want to make these really smooth and creamy, you can. I'm not a person who likes those. I like a little bit more chunkiness. To this, I'm going to add 2 cups of shaved Parmesan cheese. This is freshly shaved and I shaved it myself. I'm going to add maybe a cup first, then mix, and then we'll add the rest. You want to make sure you do this when the potatoes are still hot. Lets that cheese melt. I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of our cheese now. Get it all in here. Oh, great Parmesan smell coming off of this. Now we're going to add a teaspoon of salt. Just sort of shake it in there. Finally, 2 teaspoons of cracked black pepper. I'm going to put about half of it in first. Get that mixed in. If you like it more peppery, add more. Less peppery, add less. Same with the cheese. Now the rest of our pepper. Mix this up. I'm going to switch to sort of a large spoon here to finish mixing this. And this is just about the consistency I like. I'm not going to add anything more to this. If you want it smoother, creamier, like I said, you can add more half and half, some milk if you don't want to use half and half, or some more butter. More butter never hurts. That's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and get our beef ribs off the PBC, get them inside, and we'll check them out after they rest for about 45 minutes. All right, I have 1 of our Wagyu boneless beef ribs out here. The other 3 are still sitting in the foil, just keeping warm, but I want to cut into at least 1 of them right now so we can plate it up with some of those pepper Parmesan mashed potatoes. Let's see how we did. Oh, perfect. Let's get another slice here. Nice little smoke ring. Super tender and juicy. I mean, look at that. I mean, it's Wagyu, I get that. It's always going to have that extra little bit of flavor in there, that extra little bit of fat and juice, but I mean, it's a juice-a-lanch. I mean, it's not a huge juice-a-lanch because it's a small rib, but it's a juice-a-lanch. Let me cut another one here. Great bark on this. Just absolutely great results, exactly what I wanted. Nothing left to do here. Got to get it with those mashed potatoes because it's time to taste. All right, first thing I'm going to taste is some of those pepper Parmesan mashed potatoes. Pepper Parmesan mashed potatoes. A little bit of a tongue twister. Let's see how it tastes. Oh man, that is nice. It's not gooey cheesy just everywhere. It's just incorporated into the potatoes, and that pepper is such a nice addition to that little bit of bite from that cracked black pepper. But come on, here we go. A taste of these boneless Wagyu beef ribs. Let's see. I've had them before. Every time I have them, they're just amazing. But I gotta tell you, that Santa Fe coffee rub really, really works well with this. And I think also the addition of the post oak, which is just great with beef in my opinion. Those 2 things together, cutting these into pieces first so that there is a good bark on all sides. I mean, there's bark all around this. Just fantastic flavor. You just cannot beat that marbling, that fat in Wagyu beef. It's a treat, absolutely. You're not gonna go and spend the money on this all the time. I always say, if you're looking for a real treat, you wanna make a special meal for someone, a special meal for your family, getting something like this is really gonna leave a memory. And that's what food is, it's great memories. Cooking time on this today was 3 hours. You have to remember, these were cut into smaller pieces, heat can get all around it, there was no bone to insulate. Generally, that's what I find is the ribs will cook quicker when they're boneless and if you cut them into smaller pieces. That really worked with this. Gotta have some of the mashed potatoes with a piece of this rib. As I said, this was a treat. It might even be decadent when you're talking about Wagyu beef ribs with pepper Parmesan mashed potatoes. But the thing is, with the beef ribs, you don't have to use Wagyu if you can't get it. You could use prime or choice. Take them off the bone or ask your butcher to remove them from the bone. They cook amazingly. You get flavor on all sides from the rub you put on them. This is about the 3rd time that I've done boneless beef ribs, and I gotta tell you, every time I do it, I'm getting more and more to like it. So if you can get some boneless beef ribs, don't hesitate to try doing what I did today. Cut them into individual sections, give them a great rub, prepare a good side dish, maybe these pepper Parmesan mashed potatoes. It's gonna be an unforgettable meal that I can almost guarantee you're gonna wanna make more than once. It was just amazing.